Okay, this January 21st, 2016 regular meeting number 12 of the Fairfax County School Board will now come to order. Because we had a snow day today, we do not have our usual entertainment from students. So instead, Mr. Moon, our resident tenor, is going to lead us in the national anthem. So we will rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, a moment of silence, and then the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight all the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, said does the star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
You had no idea, did you, of the talent on this board? There you go. Thank you so much.
That was a little too high.
Thank you. Item 1.03, announcements. We have just a few announcements before we begin tonight's meeting. If you would like to review a copy of the agenda and any agenda item that is being discussed tonight, that information is on the table by the auditorium entrance. You may access tonight's agenda and related meeting documents by going to the FCPS website, select School Board, and then Upcoming Meetings and Agendas. The meeting is also being streamed live on the FCPS website homepage. Click on Watch School Board Live. Tom Wilson and Elizabeth Schultz will be absent this evening. If schools close on Monday, January 25th, due to the anticipated inclement weather, the budget public hearing will be rescheduled to January 28th, 6 o'clock here at Jackson Middle School. So if anyone who is planning to come on Monday, January 25th to our budget public hearing, and we have many, many people who are planning to come, if school is closed, the public hearing will not be Monday night. It will be moved to January 28th, later in the week at 6 o'clock, right here at Jackson Middle School. Please refer to the FCPS website for updates and developments. Please turn off or silence your cell phone. I call on Mr. Press for announcements.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The board will be recognizing African American History Month in February. Originally established as Negro History Week in 1926 by Dr. Carter G. Woodson, a noted African American author and scholar, this event evolved into the establishment in 1976 of February as Black History Month. The commemoration has increasingly been referred to as African American History Month, although both names are currently in use. When Carter G. Woodson established Negro History Week, he realized the importance of providing a theme to focus the attention of the public. The intention has never been to dictate or limit the exploration of the Black experience, but to bring the public's attention to the important developments that merit emphasis. This year's theme, a century of Black life, history, and culture, focuses on the efforts made by African Americans to institute change and to share their knowledge and talents while ushering in a new era of equality, opportunity, and racial democracy. I'd also like to recognize a few Boy Scouts who braved the cold weather to join us tonight, on their snow day, I might add. Zach Markin from Troop 20 in Herndon, Ryan Carmody and Alex Upright from Troop 152 in Vienna. And my third announcement for tonight is that I will be soon submitting a Grammy nomination for Mr. Moon for his rendition of the national anthem.
Could we have our visiting Boy Scouts stand so you can be recognized? Thank you for coming out. All right, we have a few items on the agenda which, because of the difficult weather tonight, we wanted to have as few people as possible out on the roads, so we have actually postponed some of the things we were going to do tonight. I will read those off. 1.04, recognition of National Career and Technical Education Month. That item has been removed and will be rescheduled at a later date. 1.05, recognition of National School Counseling Week has also been removed and will be rescheduled at a later date. And 1.06, resolution recognizing Fairfax County Human Trafficking Awareness Month has been removed and will be rescheduled at a later date. So we are at 2.01, citizen participation. Speakers are requested to limit their remarks to not more than 3 minutes. The school board will not hear statements involving issues that have been scheduled for public hearings, such as capital improvement program, budget, and boundaries, or personal attacks on any person. Complaints regarding individual students or school-based employees should be directed to the appropriate school principal or other school official. If the concern is a group concern, please consider appointing a spokesperson, and while the spokesperson is speaking, those in support may stand to show their support. Tonight, 5 citizens have signed up to address the board. We'll begin with Casey Grage, to be followed by Sam Resson. Come up here to the podium.
Hello, my name is Casey Grage, and I'm a senior at James Madison High School. I'm here with my fellow Madison students to comment on the temperature control system replacement at Irving Middle School. The energy currently used to power the system is unclean and unsustainable. I urge the Fairfax County Schools to install solar panels to improve our educational opportunities, save money on electricity, and reduce the amount of carbon dioxide that the school system contributes to the world we live in. I understand that FCPS has a seriously constrained budget. My proposal requires no capital outlay to purchase the solar panels. I urge FCPS to use an interesting financing mechanism called a Power Purchase Agreement, or PPA. A PPA allows the school system to purchase power, just as we do today, but from a renewable source. A PPA is a contract in which a solar company installs, maintains, and owns the panels. For the contract's term, the schools buy the electricity off the panels at a rate that is the same or lower than what they currently pay. This fixed price provides a hedge against the increased price of electricity from the utility. The only cost to the school system is the modest fee to pay for the solar feasibility study and reviewing the contract. Schools save money on operations costs from the very beginning. And FCPS is already working on paperwork for a solar feasibility study to be performed in February. One aspect of a PPA is that it allows the schools to take advantage of the federal investment tax credit for solar. Since the solar companies are private businesses, they can access the 30% federal tax incentives that the tax-exempt public schools can't. The companies can then pass those savings on to the schools. At the end of the contract, the school can either buy the depreciated panels or enter into another PPA. The panels typically last 40 years. This could provide FCPS with power at a greatly reduced price. The price of solar energy has recently been dropping significantly. 500 schools in 43 states have installed solar panels. In Maryland, Kent County Public Schools used a PPA to purchase clean, renewable solar energy. They expect to save $3 million over 20 years. And closer to home, in Albemarle County, they entered into a PPA and expect to save $80,000 over the next 20 years on just the first 6 schools that receive solar panels. Hawaii even announced plans to install panels on all public schools by the end of 2016. As one of the leading counties in the nation, Fairfax County must jump on this opportunity. I'm not alone in this thinking. I wrote a petition urging FCPS to go solar. The petition has received 560 signatures. Over 90% of these supporters live in Fairfax County, and over 385 are students. One student commented on the petition, "Clean, sustainable energy is the future." It's clear that the hardworking students, parents, and faculty of FCPS agree. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Sam Resson, to be followed by Joyce Cheng.
Hello, my name is Sam Resson from James Madison High School. I'm here today to speak about the energy supplied to the temperature control system replacement at Irving Middle School, and I'm in favor of using renewable energy from solar panels. Let me paint a picture for you. I'm sitting in my environmental science class with 30 of my peers, and today's topic is something called the triple bottom line. The idea that in order for a community to be sustainable, it must consider the needs of three factions: societal, financial, and environmental. I turned to my side to look out the window, and look! A perfect example of the triple bottom line: solar panels. Solar panels don't just save FCPS money and reduce our carbon emissions. They offer educational benefits of learning about green energy to students. Taken from the Secure Futures website, a solar photo system offers a tangible, highly visible representation of your thought, leadership, and sustainable brand. Solar spans a wide range of educational initiatives, from science to government to math. Solar panels don't just involve science. When studying solar energy, math is needed to calculate the percentage of sunlight that actually gets transformed into energy. Government knowledge is needed to understand what is required to actually install the solar panels, such as active community involvement we are engaging in right now. Solar panels aren't just some high-tech system installed on the roof of a school and forgotten about. Since it is important that students be aware of the huge environmental challenges we face this century, solar panels on schools serve as stewards of sustainability and cornerstones of green initiatives that benefit the FCPS community. With solar systems, students are able to see firsthand how sunlight is converted to electricity, and solar installations can be integrated into a school's math, science, and technology programs to improve test scores in those fields. Teachers can even use existing lesson plans about solar panels. One such lesson plan from the SunPower Foundation involves hands-on research and prompts students to investigate the ways they use energy every day. In an era plagued by financial constraints, how beneficial it would be to learn about solar in the classroom and then actually go outside and learn about how solar integrates in the curriculum. Furthermore, the surging demand for solar systems will add hundreds of thousands of green jobs to the economy, including those in research, development, manufacturing, construction, sales, and marketing. A recent report by the Solar Foundation showed that the solar industry added jobs 12 times faster than the rest of the economy, even more than the jobs created by the oil and gas extraction and pipeline sectors combined. Solar curricula help prepare students not only for these types of jobs, but to be a successful graduate outlined in the FCPS Portrait of a Graduate. I hope it is easy to see that solar panels do nothing less than empower students to meet high academic standards, lead healthy, ethical lives, and be responsible and innovative global citizens. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Joyce Chang, to be followed by Steve Greenberg.
Hi, my name is Joyce Chang, and I'm also from James Madison High School. I'm also urging FCPS to purchase clean, renewable energy for the temperature control system at Irving Middle School, which could be generated locally by using a power purchase agreement. We all have a responsibility to protect our environment, for our community, for other living creatures on Earth, and for future generations. By installing solar panels, FCPS would act as a role model for the rest of society, prompting other school districts to take action. Many people don't understand the full impact of solar panels or the negative impact of fossil fuels. Americans have the largest individual carbon footprint. Our society is highly reliant on fossil fuels. The production and usage of fossil fuels emits various harmful gases such as carbon dioxide and monoxides, sulfur oxides, hydrocarbons, and much more. These dangerous gases contribute to water pollution and climate change. The effects are bad for the environment, bad for aquatic life, and also bad for humans. They're bad for your health and your family's health. Air and water pollution contribute to lung disease as well as a variety of other health problems. In addition, fossil fuels are limited, and the use of fossil fuels needs to end. Solar power is a brilliant, accessible way to end the use of fossil fuels and still generate the energy needed for society to function. By installing a solar power system, a household prevents around 175 tons of carbon from being released into the atmosphere over the lifespan of an average residential solar power system, which is the equivalent of planting 22,000 square feet of trees. John Jay High School has already installed 216 solar panels, preventing 43.8 tons of carbon from being released every year. FCPS should follow in this school's progressive footsteps. Another benefit of solar panels is that they produce the greatest output when there is the greatest demand, in the late spring and summer. The days would be long and hot, and so more solar power could be captured to satisfy the demand for electricity needed to power air conditioners and cooling systems, such as the ones in Irving Middle School. Some say that the labor and resources required to build, install, and maintain solar panels still hurts the environment, but it has far less impact than the processes of fracking for oil or mining for coal. In about 4 years, the solar energy produced by panels makes up for the energy consumed in creating and installing them. Solar energy would contribute to a drop in air pollution and greenhouse gases, as it provides almost 40 years of clean energy. It's innovative, safe, efficient, and beneficial for to ourselves, our community, and our environment. And as individuals in this world, we have to be grateful for all the resources and benefits we obtain from nature, and it's our duty to protect the world. One has to live an ethical life for your family and children, and we all have to live ethical lives for the future. Fairfax County says it inspires its students to live healthy, ethical lives and be responsible and innovative global citizens. FCPS can fulfill its promise by moving forward and utilizing clean, renewable energy generated by solar panels. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I just want to say to the Madison High School students here, and do you have a teacher here with you, or no? Anyway, sponsor. Thank you very much. Thank you. You guys did such a beautiful job. Thank you. I mean, your research, your advocacy, and just coming out and sharing all that with us tonight, I really can't thank you enough. Mr. Greenberg.
Dr. Garza, Chairman Hines, legendary Mr. Press, esteemed school board members, I am Steve Greenberg, President of the Fairfax County Federation of Teachers. I represent outstanding educators in FCPS, those whose focus is on our students, educating, protecting, and caring for them daily. I will be speaking tonight to agenda item Goal 1, Student Success, and specifically overarching strategy number 3. But first of all, I'd like to thank Dr. Garza for protecting our employees and students this morning by closing schools. As someone who works in a school on the western edge of Fairfax, it does not bother me if we do not have school so a teacher or a child can avoid a serious auto accident or a fall over near the eastern side. That is called empathy, that is caring, and we value a caring culture in FCPS. In regards to strategic plan overarching strategy 3, it states to provide quality early childhood experiences aligned with Portrait of a Graduate outcomes designed to prepare students to successfully enter kindergarten. Desired outcomes include all qualifying future FCPS students will have access to high-quality early education programs, and agencies will coordinate their efforts to provide good childhood experiences. I know that all of our FCPS school board members here tonight value early childhood education. I know our superintendent used to teach kindergarten, and the chair of our school board used to teach alongside me in one of our FCPS elementary schools. So we value early investments in our most precious and impressionable of learners. In fact, many of you ran for school board with the focused goal of improving early childhood education in FCPS. Ms. Hines and Ms. Darren at Kofax, you have advocated fiercely over the past 5 years for our youngest learners, often with frustration, as there's not enough resources to support all of our future citizens. Thank you both for that. They value early childhood education investment, but does this community?
As a member of your budget task force this summer, Dr. Garza, I assure this community that it does not want to be responsible for choosing to neglect either its preschool children or its kindergartners. One of the more unpleasant discussions we entered into as a task force involved the consideration of whether we had to fund preschool or early childhood programs if we didn't have enough money. The budget task force chose to neglect neither preschool or kindergarten and to value them both, as has our superintendent. Will this community choose to fund only 4-year-olds or 5-year-olds or both? The preschools, the kindergartners, they're watching us now and they're relying on us to protect them. Finally, I'd like to let this school board know that FCFT has taken a formal position on potentially closing school on primary day, March 1st, but I will be communicating to each of you on that privately and personally at this point. I do want you to know that we have discussed it with Dr. Garza, so she's aware of our perspective. Let us know if you need anything in regards to that, and enjoy the next few days with your families under the pile of white. Thank you for your time this evening and your service to our public schools. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Kimberly Adams.
Good evening, Chairman Hines, members of the school board, and Dr. Garza. My name is Kimberly Adams, and I address you as the president of the Fairfax Education Association. Tonight, you have listed new business agenda item 5.06, the Charter School Constitutional Amendment. Currently, there are several House and Senate versions of bills and joint resolutions to make this change to our Constitution. We see that you have proposed a position of opposition to this type of legislation, and we hope that you will vote to unanimously keep this position of opposition. The attempt by those in Richmond to create a constitutional amendment which grants the state authority over charter school creation in Virginia is appalling. I want you to know that not only the over 4,000 members of the FEA, but statewide more than 47,000 members of the Virginia Education Association also join you in opposing this egregious attempt at removing local control from our school district. When our education funds are already stretched as far as they can go, we must not divert our much-needed public resources to private, for-profit entities. Fairfax is a world-class school system with many innovations to date and many still to come. We know how to deliver a high-quality education to our students, and more importantly, we understand locally what is needed for our students and our communities in our educational system. The idea that this kind of authority could be granted to an unelected body with little oversight to foist its views upon our community is an affront to the ideal of local control and elected representation. This should be seen as an insult to every member of this school board and each member of our Board of Supervisors. To those watching in the audience and on TV, please contact your state representatives in Richmond. Let them know that we understand what our neighborhood schools need and that we will oppose this type of legislative experiment. Thank you all, and please stay safe during what promises to be a historic blizzard of 2016.
Thank you. Okay, 2.02, Student Representative Matters. I call on Mr. Press.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening and happy first snow of the year. Snow days are one of those times when the FCPS community comes together like no other, as Mr. McElveen and our friends in the communication department who run the FCPS News Twitter account can attest. Incredible outpourings of support and advocacy, including getting #CloseFCPS to trend nationally twice, are a testament to the strong resolve of our student body. And while this board does not give the order to close school, and let me make that doubly clear, the board does not give the order to close school, but the gentleman who does is looking very tired back there. The advocacy and communication is very, very appreciated. I personally enjoy the way that snow days bring out some of the best qualities in our students. Our students are creative, funny, and thoughtful, with creative uses of Photoshop, writings of original poems, and even a fully recorded song entitled Close FCPS with piano accompaniment making the waves on social media. I commend many FCPS students for their use of responsible digital citizenship and strong advocacy on these issues. But when I see the outpouring of support for snow days, I certainly see the simple students want to sleep in and avoid doing their homework explanation. But when we look deeper, we find another story. Students are stressed out and want a break from the constant flow of stress, especially as we enter the second quarter of this year and therefore at the end of this first semester. This could not ring truer. Assessments mount, midterms loom nearer, and end-of-quarter projects dominate student calendars. In the coming months, I look forward to working with this board and leadership team to take steps to reduce student stress and investigate ways to mitigate high workloads. In particular, I look forward to investigating ways to improve our regulations governing homework. While homework tests and projects have long been a part of the American educational tradition, the stress is not. The rise of this phenomenon has been alarming, and it warrants the great deal of attention it's been receiving from this board and from school leadership in FCPS and around the country. Shifting gears, I'd like to thank the Hayfield students and staff for being so welcoming at our last SAC meeting. I was privileged to be joined there by Ms. Darnett Koufax, Ms. Huff, and Ms. Evans. Powerful discussions were held around mental health and the way schools are incorporating their youth survey data to guide programming. I'd also like to give a big thank you to the students from Mason District, from Edison, Stewart, Falls Church, and Annandale High Schools for the engaging discussions about ways we can improve their schools. I'd like to give a very special shout out, though, to Herndon High School for their very warm welcome to me and lively discussion we had with their leadership class. They really made me feel at home in their school, and their leadership students blew me away with their thoughtful questions and outstanding demeanor. I'd like to also pass a thank you to Principal Bates for supplying pizza for us all to enjoy. I look forward to our budget hearings next week, if they are still held, and a student town hall with students from the Mount Vernon district held by Ms. Corbett Sanders and her student leader, Martha Gallagher. I wish all students the very best with midterm exams and wrapping up the quarter. In parting this evening, though, I want to leave this board and everyone who might be watching out in the public with a brief thought. 2 words that have meant a lot to me. Scouting's motto, be prepared. As tomorrow's snowstorm looms large, please take the steps to adequately prepare. Stock up on water, food, and batteries for flashlights. Stay warm, stay safe, and if you see anyone out there who is exposed to the elements and may not have a place to go, please do contact Fairfax County, and they'll be sure to help with that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Press. Okay, item 2.03, Goal 1, Student Success Strategies 3 and 4. We will receive a report, and I just want to remind school board members that we will have the chance to discuss this fully at our work session in February. So especially in light of the interest of making sure that all these good people who came to join us tonight get home before the roads re-ice, I think we should make sure that we keep our questions brief. So Dr. Garza?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Just to provide kind of a context for this report tonight, this report is a part of our overall strategic plan, Ignite, and it's a report around Goal 1 of our student success goal, Goal 1 of this report. And I know Dr. Duran will talk about that a little bit, but in terms of kind of the way we're structuring these reports, I think it's a very good thing for the public to know. The amount of information that was included in this report is so extensive that we've had to divide it into 2 parts. And I think that's good because it provides a volume, just extensive information that I think certainly is helpful for all of us, but I think also is beneficial to our community. Both parts of the report, tonight we're going to be hearing the first presentation on Part 2 of this report, but each one of those reports, Part 1 and Part 2, we have 3 complete board meetings designed around those. So it's presented as new business as is being done tonight on the second part. There's a work session that follows where there's an extensive conversation around the contents of the report, and then again, it is considered on final reading. So I just wanted the public to know there's quite a bit of information included both in the report tonight, but then also the first section of the report. And we're actually spending quite a bit of board time around this important report as well. And we're doing this around all of our reports around our strategic plan. The part that's going to be discussed tonight, the final part of Goal 1, will be discussed at the February 8th work session. So there will be a lengthy discussion by the board at that time. And we will have also ample opportunity for our board members to have if they have any questions around any of these tonight. We did we asked Dr. Duran tonight. This is a long report. I think it's 40-something slides. Is that correct? And everyone's been challenging him today to see how he can keep it moving along. So he's been put under a lot of pressure today. So with no further ado, I'd like to turn the podium over to Dr. Duran. We're very happy to have him in our system. And Dr. Duran, I think you've been here 3 months now?
Yes.
3 whole months, and we've been working him hard. So, Dr. Duran.
Thank you, and Good evening, board members, Chairwoman Hines. Good to see you again. We spent earlier together at Leadership Fairfax. And thank you, Chairman Hines, for not putting me at 10 o'clock tonight. I appreciate that. Even though you put me before a snowstorm, but maybe eventually I'll get to present at a time where there's not something following. The presentation tonight, as Dr. Garza said, does focus on our last two components of Goal 1 student success, which deal with our early childhood, and I'll talk about that in a moment, as well as our multiple pathways to post-secondary, college, and career readiness. This report is also supplemented by an extensive, comprehensive narrative of this report, and after we complete all of the various work sessions and get your feedback and additional questions, we will put it all together as one for the public to see online. We will add analysis to that. We had, as you know from the last time, some questions, and we're working on that analysis. But we want to put it together as one. So for the public and for board members, once you've completed this whole process, you will see a complete package and a complete report. Let me see if this is working. Okay. So our first desired outcome is all qualifying future FCPS students will have access to high-quality early childhood education programs. Every September, over 13,000 kindergartners pass through our front doors, excited and nervous to start their Fairfax County public school experience. We know, all of us know, and our previous speaker, thank you for reiterating, the fact that a quality preschool experience is important for all of our young children, but it is most impactful for those students who may be vulnerable and needing extra support. This outcome, which is the first one in Strategy 3, is focused on making sure that children are on a trajectory of success in school and in life by creating opportunities for our future kindergartners and the experience that they will have throughout our system. Now, let's look at where some of those opportunities currently exist in our county. FCPS and the county jointly offer qualified children living in the county access to pre-K opportunities in 3 environments, which you see on this slide. Some are jointly done and some are done, they're all jointly done in some way, some more so by us and some that are more done by the county in terms of funding and in terms of actual programs, and we could talk more about that at the work session. The programs within these 3 environments are funded through federal and state grants along with local dollars. You're familiar, I know some of you, with the programs that we're operating. I will just name a few. Again, there's some in the report, and we can talk more about it at a work session. Head Start, Early Head Start, Virginia Preschool Initiative, Preschool Special Education, Home Instruction for Parents of Preschool Youngsters, or commonly referred to as HIPPY, to name a few. Through our partnership with Fairfax County's Office for Children, we offer diverse opportunities to qualified children. However, access to those programs and the quality do vary. To address issues both around access and quality, which we've identified are concerns and needs and challenges for us, we have begun the work of ensuring positive student outcomes related to school readiness. The United States Department of Education's 2015 report, which I've read, A Matter of Equity, Preschool in America, condenses for us the vast amount of research on preschool and identifies the importance for us on school readiness in the area of quality and access. According to this study, school readiness is achieved when children attend and have access to early childhood programs. Quality, according to this study, has been broken down into 4 components that we will use as we move forward in our work. The first component outlined in this study is that the education, qualifications, and training of staff are very important. Secondly, positive interactions between adults and children that promote thinking and curiosity as we look at the curriculum that we're offering. Third, a structure with low child to teacher ratios. And fourth, this study outlined for us age-appropriate instructional strategies and the environment that's age-appropriate. So as we think about quality, those are 4 driving areas that we're going to be and are currently looking at. In terms of the second piece with regards to access, There are 3 areas outlined in this study that we are aligning our work towards. The first is availability of programs in communities where families live and work. And for us, that's a challenge as large of a county as we are. Second, locations with place-based coordinated services like health or before and after care or wraparound support for the families that access the programs. And third, affordability, which is a no-brainer for us, but it's something that we have to consider as we think of the various options that are out there. Although opportunities for qualified children to attend an early childhood program have grown every year in our county, and in early childhood, we're meeting the needs of more students, it still is remaining a challenge as we have students on a wait list. So we've grown, we've provided more opportunities, but a wait list still exists. As this work moves forward, it is important for us to think about and to know that both quality and access are the keys to achieving desired early childhood outcomes. We don't simply want to provide access and open a bunch of new programs without ensuring that we have those key drivers I mentioned for quality. You've heard about our partnerships, and some of you are very much involved in this in conversations I've had with a few of you already, to ensure that we have quality early childhood opportunities for all of our students. At kindergarten registration, all FCPS families are asked to report their child's preschool experience. This chart that you see on this slide represents the percentage of kindergartners who participated in an early childhood experience in the years 2011 to 2014. You can see on the one side of the chart the multitude of early childhood opportunities that we're fortunate to offer in our county. And this is really a point of pride for us because many counties and school systems across the nation do not have such an array of experiences. However, again, we don't have it for all, and it's an area for us to work on. This information is also helpful for us to better understand the experiences our students have had prior to kindergarten. As you can see on the left part of the chart, since 2011, the percent of students with some early childhood experience has stayed relatively consistent. However, when you look at the actual number, the number of students that we now serve has increased by almost 700. So percentage is one way to look at it, but total number being served is another way. And so we are serving more students, but again, if you look at our waiting lists, we have large numbers there still. The last metric in this outcome was addressed in the earlier Goal 1 presentation. We are working with our Department of Program Evaluation to conduct a comprehensive report on kindergarten students who receive preschool service. Right now, we don't have a comprehensive one, a lot of anecdotal information, but it is something that we're currently working on, and we will be able to this year share that information with you. Our next desired outcome is that all agencies will coordinate their efforts to provide similar early childhood experiences. Fairfax County Public Schools has well-established programs and functioning partnerships with the Fairfax County's Office for Children, as well as some early childhood stakeholders that join us in this work. This collaboration and shared vision of school readiness is held as a model for districts across the Commonwealth and the nation. We have a joint commitment with our county and stakeholders to maximize the use of our resources while maintaining quality and access. So we're doing great things, but again, we have more to do because we have a wait list. These successful models are informing us as we further broaden the scope and our work with other agencies. And then I do know Ms. McLaughlin serves with me on the SCIP, and we're looking at that as an area of focus. And so we'll have more information, as well as Ms. Koufax. We're looking at this. So it's something that is very important for us as we think through how we're going to partner with the various agencies in providing quality and access. And it's important, I'll say that a few times, because we can't look at just one over the other. This next slide highlights our partnerships with early childhood stakeholders. The 4 partnerships that you see in the middle of the slide are those that provide the direct services to children birth to 4 years old and their families. And it varies on the type of grant we received. Certain grants require us to serve certain ages from birth to 4 years. They are funded again federally, also with local funds, and are offered both in the county and in community programs. On the ends of each of the slide, you'll see two partnerships that are improving our process and the support that we've put in place for school readiness. The one on the far left is our School Readiness Council, which consists of stakeholders who share information and participate in a quality rating system to support improving the quality of early childhood programs. On the far right is our Neighborhood School Readiness Teams, or NSRT, you may have heard of referred to that way. These teams and this partnership support school communities to ensure that our children are ready and transition to kindergarten. These are two strong partnerships we have that will and are serving as the foundation for our school readiness plan. We recognize there is a gap between the work of our current partnerships and FCPS's desired outcome to provide quality early childhood experiences aligned with our Portrait of a Graduate outcomes that will prepare all of our students to successfully enter kindergarten. The school readiness plan described on this slide is in its infancy. It outlines in a broad way the next steps to ensure quality early childhood experiences for all of our students. The plan in place serves to strengthen, expand, and develop community partnerships and continue the ones we have, of course. The principles that will guide and align this work are Virginia's Foundation Blocks for Early Learning Standards for 4-year-olds and Virginia's School Readiness Definition. Oops, let me go back. Initially, FCPS is working to strengthen our existing partnerships with the Office for Children using the neighborhood school readiness teams as the access point. These teams plan to broaden the scope of their current work from a successful transition into kindergarten in order to improve school readiness using the Commonwealth's 4-year-old standards and definition for school readiness. Simultaneously, we will work to expand the current work of preschool special education community partnerships and workshops to include school readiness using those same standards. And finally, we're working to develop new partnerships with preschool programs currently outside the scope of the NSRT so that we can have more access and quality for our students. Now let's take a closer look at the 3 potential access points to support our school readiness plan. You may recall that one of the key elements of quality is teacher learning from the 2015 report I referenced earlier. We are and must continue to teach our educators and provide them the supports that they need through instructional coaching and make sure that we are giving them all the supports to work with that young population. We are using also the Virginia Quality Rating System as a guide for us in that work. Because families are their child's first teacher, the second potential access point for us, we must develop more opportunities for families to learn how to support their child's school readiness and ensure that more families have that opportunity to learn those strategies to have a successful transition to kindergarten. And the last one is, again, using data from our partnerships, studies that we need to conduct to make sure that we're improving and cultivating the successes that we already have and expanding and working in those areas that we need some more support. The data I would like to share with you now was identified to ensure that children are ready for school in kindergarten. We're currently working on developing a readiness rubric that takes a comprehensive or a whole child approach. But for now, I wanted to share with you what we do have, and until that rubric is developed, we are currently using one data point as a glimpse, and it's only that, a glimpse, at kindergarten literacy, because there is much more than just a test result. This is one element, again, that we're thinking about as we begin to look at the whole child approach. So on this particular data point, and I'm going to say it again, it's just a glimpse, we don't say it's the end-all and be-all, but this particular data point shows that the percentage of kindergarten students who took this exam, this test, 84% of them met the fall literacy benchmark as measured by the DRA, which is the Developmental Reading Assessment Word Analysis Edition 2. And the percentage that did not meet the benchmark was 16%, requiring intervention. So you can see if we just look at this, we have 16%. Not a large number, but it's too large for us. The next two slides are a sample of a longitudinal study that we've done on children who participated in the FECEP Head Start program in our district. As noted in the school readiness plan, we hope to be able to follow cohorts of children who participate in community programs also. Right now, this is only the FECEP Head Start program data. These graphs that you see on this slide show the cohort of students who participated in FECEP in 2007-2008 and their performance on the DRA2 compared to all other students in FCPS who qualified but did not participate. This cohort and all previous cohorts do not have kindergarten data. The first year the DRA two-word analysis was administered to kindergartners was not till 2008, 2009. But this data shows that the FECEP Head Start cohort performs better than students who did not participate in the Head Start program, but still lag behind all students. So what does that tell us? Providing these programs is necessary, it's important, but our achievement gap begins before kindergarten, which is why an entire section of our strategic plan is devoted to that effort. This next slide shows the same FECEP Head Start cohort's performance on SOL assessments in the 3rd through 6th grade. As you can see, students who participated in FECEP Head Start have almost closed the achievement gap in reading by 6th grade, while the students who did not participate in this early childhood program lagged behind. As stated in the beginning, a quality preschool experience that all qualified children can access in their community lays the groundwork for success in school and life. As Governor McAuliffe said in his 2015 State of the Commonwealth Address, quote, "If we are going to lead in a global economy, we cannot wait until our students reach kindergarten to begin to prepare them for success." Much work is being done in this area. Much work needs to be done. And again, we have to collectively, working with the county, working with our stakeholders, find ways to provide more opportunities that are quality and access that is across our county. Work in progress, but many, many points of pride. And the data shows us that when children do participate, that we're seeing some positive results. We've just talked about our students' preschool readiness. We now want to address the next strategy, which is providing students with relevant opportunities to explore options and prepare for college and career. And the "and career" is very important work that we've begun to do. Our first desired outcome is that, quote, "a portfolio of school options will provide multiple pathways to a high school diploma." The Student Learning Plan provides students an individual opportunity to plan for their future through exploration of college and career. This school year, all middle school and high school teachers will have accounts to help students develop, revise, and refine their plans. These accounts will be able to allow teachers to view students' academic and career goals, results on career and strengths surveys, resume entries, and service learning hours. Students can now begin to document their service and support learning opportunities as well. We're excited about these resources and supports that are available in the Student Learning Plan and truly value the opportunities that students have to engage in college and career exploration and planning. And this is one tool that we've begun to use as we think about helping students prepare and document their success and their plans. Students in FCPS have unique opportunities to put their student learning plan into action as they further their career exploration and gain relevant experiences through our academy programs. We are very fortunate to have 6 high school academies that offer advanced, technical, and specialized courses that focus on integrating career and academic preparation. Courses available for our students currently are in the area of international studies and business, engineering and scientific technology, health and human services, communication, and the arts. These offerings provide juniors and seniors with career and academic preparation for post-secondary and/or career fields, college or career. Students enrolling in these courses are provided with opportunities to participate in a variety of career experiences, including shadowing, mentoring, and also internships with our local businesses. One story that I think was just touching as I was learning about this is that in the spring of 2015, one of our students got to put this not only to her future, helping her prepare for a college and career, but she participated in our health and medical skills program. And as she was walking from her car to her workplace, she came upon two adult men who were clearly in distress. The student was able to use what she had learned, obtain vital signs for the men, call 911, monitor the condition of the men, and provide them CPR until help arrived. Both men recovered from the medical emergency, and the student was later honored by the Fairfax County Police Department for her actions that day. The responding officer credited the student's knowledge and calm demeanor in the face of a potentially upsetting situation, and she was able to articulate how that came directly from her experience in this type of an academy. So it's not just about college and career, it's about lives, and it's about our personal contribution to being a positive member of society and being able to give back. It is our goal to continue to provide these opportunities for our students that reflect their career and educational interests while meeting ever-challenging workforce needs. Another example of the connection between our course offerings and workforce development is our increased focus on cybersecurity. In February 2014, Governor McAuliffe signed an executive order creating Cyber Virginia and the Virginia Cybersecurity Commission. Additionally, both George Mason University and Northern Virginia Community College have increased their opportunity for students to study and earn degrees focused on cybersecurity. And because of this, we also have increased our focus on cybersecurity opportunities for students. There are currently 4 schools that strongly support cyber learning: Chantilly Academy, Marshall Academy, Edison Academy, and Mount Vernon High School. And in fact, Marshall Academy is a 4-time national finalist in the Cyber Patriot competition that is put forth by the Air Force Association. Another collaborative effort with focus on college and career readiness is our expansion of STEAM opportunities for our students and integration of STEAM into our curriculum. We are continuing to expand opportunities for professional development for teachers and increased opportunities for students. In 2015, 500 more students were served through summer learning opportunities focused solely on STEAM. And over the last 18 months, we have expanded STEAM in our elementary school in labs from 6 schools to this year 60 elementary schools. And in collaboration with looking at our curriculum and what is being asked, we have begun to infuse it into our instruction across all various grade levels. Additionally, a point of pride, we're one of only 5 school divisions to receive the High School Planning Innovation Grant, which awards opportunities for school divisions to design an innovative high school learning experience through STEAM programs by making sure that we offer a variety of integration across the curriculum. There's so much exciting work taking place in our division with STEAM, and I will be happy to share more with you since I'm trying to shorten my response tonight. But it's very exciting, a lot of the work that's happening in the area of STEAM. But one specific example I do want to mention is the focus on STEAM education in the Mount Vernon Pyramid, where Project Lead the Way is being implemented at Whitman Middle School and Mount Vernon High School. Project Lead the Way, for those of you that don't know, is the nation's leading provider of STEAM programs that support student development while giving them the opportunity to delve more deeply into engineering concepts. There are currently over 100 students pursuing Project Lead the Way courses, with additional courses being offered. Also, at Mount Vernon High School, our students are competing in regional robotics competitions, And robotics instruction and experiences are now available to students at that school through advanced electronics, robotics courses, technology student associations, and through infusing coding into our curriculum. This is something that we're excited about piloting and hope again to make this not just in one pyramid, to take it across the division. New this year is an important partnership with Genesis Works to offer a free training program and work experience opportunity for students from 6 high schools. The focus of this program is information technology, giving students the opportunity to receive training and support for post-secondary education while gaining work experiences in that industry. Genesis Works has proven success in many cities, and we're thrilled to begin to now offer this opportunity to our students and again potentially expand it to other high schools. In addition to work-based experiences, FCPS students have the opportunity to earn industry certifications. Beginning with the current juniors, students who are earning a standard diploma are required to earn an industry certification for graduation. The number of FCP graduates who have earned an industry credential has increased significantly over the last 3 years, rising from 24.39% in 2013 to 71.96% of the graduating class in 2015, almost triple. Well, more. Additionally, in the school year 2014-15, the duplicated student enrollment in CTE classes was 36,246 students. Of these students, 20,382 industry certifications were passed. And it is important to note that this metric is not an accurate representation. We have more of the unique number of students who've completed the graduation requirement for industry credentials, because a student who's already passed an industry credential may be enrolled in a CTE course but may choose not to take an additional credential beyond the one that is required for graduation. So again, more opportunities for students. The largest number, in case you're wondering, of industry certifications are in workplace readiness and WISE financial literacy. Yet there's a wide variety of certifications, and we're looking at how we can make sure we can expand more, particularly in the areas of health, medical sciences, and cyber security and technology. Another important aspect of college and career readiness, we all know, is work-based learning opportunities, not just learning in the classroom, not just learning in a book, but actually experiencing it in a work environment. 47% of our graduates reported on their senior survey that they have engaged in unpaid work internship experiences during high school. The class of 2015 indicated a slight increase in the number of students as we look at our previous surveys of having participated in at least one or more of those opportunities. So we want to make sure that we continue to see that number increase over time. As previously mentioned, we continue to seek opportunities to expand business partners who may provide internship opportunities for our students. During the 2014-15 school year, we worked with 343 business partners, and we were able to support also simultaneously over 1,000 students with disabilities in community work experiences. Already this school year, we've gained more than 51 additional business partners for community work experience, in addition to the ones secured last year, and over 46 students have now attained part-time employment in our Career and Transition Services program. So we're working to address the collection of the data for all students. Right now, we have mostly to provide to you around our Career and Technical and Transition Service students and the survey that I mentioned. In FCPS, we also strive to support all of our students with post-secondary preparation and courses and resources to help them in that success. We're specifically focused on closing the gaps between aspirations and attainment for graduates who are traditionally underrepresented in college admissions. One team that is specifically focused on this is our College Success Program. The College Success Program provides college readiness, access, and services to students who are traditionally underrepresented on college campuses. In fact, many of these students are the first in their family to attend college and do not have the financial means without some significant support. FCPS, we're responsible for managing directly 2 of the 4 programs exclusively, AVID and the College Partnership Program. AVID is available at 25 of our secondary schools and requires students to enroll in a full-year elective course through which they receive targeted supports with study skills, goal setting, college and career exploration, and planning. And AVID is definitely a nationally recognized college preparation program that continues to yield amazing results for our students. The second one, which is the College Partnership Program, is available at all of our high schools and offers students the opportunities for targeted support from advocates who host monthly meetings for our students and also give them support in test preparation for college, take them on college field trips, and summer experiences that, again, gives many of our students the first time they ever step foot on a college campus. Beginning last school year, this program, students had the opportunity to go on multi-campus tours during spring break and at every time that we could find an opportunity that it was not during school hours. Last year, one of our AVID seniors even had a chance to meet Michelle Obama as a result of her outstanding performance in the AVID program. And she shared with the First Lady that prior to her AVID experience, that her family believed education was important, but truly wanted her to focus on housekeeping as a career. She is now on a full-ride scholarship at College of William and Mary. The 2 remaining programs that deal with college success are managed collaboratively with post-secondary institutions. The Early Identification Program, which services our students through a partnership with George Mason University, and the Pathway to the Baccalaureate Program, which is a partnership with Northern Virginia Community College. In the Early Identification Program, students and families actually receive post-secondary planning resources beginning in 7th grade and continuing all the way through their senior year. Likewise, students find tremendous success through the Pathway to the Baccalaureate and Pathway Connections program, with over 25% of our seniors indicating that they plan to pursue 2-year college immediately following high school. Hundreds and hundreds of our students are annually benefiting from the one-on-one attention we receive from the great partnership with NOVA and the pathway counselors that are connected with those students who are supporting their post-secondary aspirations. Our College Success Program offers a unique type of support, resources, and services to students and families, and have been proven also successful in supporting their academic growth in preparation for post-secondary education. We continue to target recruitment and support efforts to best serve our students through these programs and close not just the achievement gap, but close the post-secondary success gap. So we're not just focusing on what is the gap prior up to 12th grade. There is also a gap afterwards, and these are some examples that we are working towards. As we strive to best prepare our students for the next step after high school, it is important to consider where are our students matriculating. Each year, students complete the FCPS Senior Survey before graduation. The percentage of graduating seniors who indicate that they plan to pursue 2-year or 4-year college immediately after high school remains consistently high compared to other divisions that have this data available. In the class of 2015, for example, 93% of those that completed the survey, which was 12,990 graduates, so we had a very large number complete this, indicated their intention to attend post-secondary institutions. 63.2% said they planned to attend 4-year college, 27.5% a 2-year, 4.8% military or employment, and 2.4% other opportunities. We don't, unfortunately, currently get specific feedback from our colleges, but there currently is a statewide effort to help us find ways to get that information, and we're part of that conversation, and we'll continue to pursue that data so that we can share that with you. Right now, we only have the survey data, and of course, a lot of anecdotal data, but I wanted to share with you what we did have in terms of the survey data. A further sign of success of our college readiness programs is the National Student Clearinghouse data, which indicates that our students who are attending 2-year and 4-year institutions are persisting from their freshman to sophomore year at high rates. In the future, we will attempt to break down this data further by subgroup and continue to gather more data for our division, but this is what we have in terms of what's reported to us. But this, again, is very high compared to most other divisions and nationally as well. Our students also exceed the College Ready benchmark established by the College Board. This is another positive indicator of our division's student preparation for college. To explain that a little further, an SAT score of 1550 is associated with a high probability that a first-year college student will have at least a B average, will also remain in school, and will also continue on for their second and third year with that success. Our students, as you can see on this chart, have consistently scored above that benchmark, above the Commonwealth and above the nation with regards to what we believe based on this one data point will show that they will be successful. The next few slides show the degree of performance above the national averages on the SAT and ACT broken down by subgroup. Only national data is available to us at this time, so we couldn't compare to the Commonwealth. This graph here shows SAT data in a way that we have actually not presented previously to you. This chart here answers this question: what percent of our students who take the SAT score above the national average? This would include critical reading, math, and writing scores. Note that the comparison is with the national average for all students. We were able to pull out our data on our subgroups, but there is no national data broken down by subgroup. So we're comparing the subgroup to how all students did nationally, not to that subgroup. So for example, if you look at the Hispanic students who took the SAT, 51% of them scored above the national average of all students, not of other Hispanic students. As you can see, 77% of our students scored above the national average. Again, very powerful, positive data for us to look at. And again, we can talk more about this. This next slide indicates the percent above the national average on the overall SAT by subgroups of students who have disabilities, students who have limited English proficiency, and students who are economically disadvantaged. And again, it's comparing them to all students nationally because it's not broken down for us nationally. So you can see we do have high numbers, but we also see that while they're encouraging and positive, these particular subgroups have a lower percentage scoring above the national average. But it's a point of pride to have because many divisions have no students or little scoring above the national average in these subgroups. So it's certainly a point of pride, but it's also an area of concern as we think about what's happening in our achievement gap and how it's aligned to then ultimately post-secondary success. This slide indicates our overall performance compared to state and national averages for the ACT. And again, you can see similar results in terms of our comparison to the state and national averages. And our ACT scores remain high and exceed, again, the college ready benchmarks established by ACT. Very similar. This slide illustrates the percent above national averages on the ACT for English, math, reading, and science. The difference, if you're looking at this one compared to the SAT, is that writing is not included on the results because the writing section on the ACT is optional for students, so they don't report it out that way. So that one you can't compare the two, but it does still talk about math, reading, and science. And similar to the SAT results that I've just discussed, this graph does show our data in the question of how do we do compared to the national average, again, of all students, because we don't have it broken down. But you'll see again here, our subgroups do perform above the national average. All of them have percentages that are doing that. Certainly, we see an indicator here of our achievement gap because we do see white and Asian students having a higher percentage above the national averages than our Black and Hispanic students. Our last slide related to the SAT and ACT indicates the percent above national averages on ACT for the similar subgroups that I mentioned earlier: students with disabilities, students with limited English proficiency, and those economically disadvantaged. And consistent with the SAT data, we see similar points of pride, and we see similar areas of concern with these subgroups. But again, points of pride because they are performing above national averages of all. You're comparing them to all students who took it. The final metric to highlight college and career readiness is our performance for our students on PISA, which is the Program for International Student Assessment. Since 2014, all of our high schools participate in the PISA tests for schools. If you're not familiar with the details of the PISA, this is given to 15-year-olds, and it helps provide us descriptive information and an analysis on student skills and creative application of their knowledge in reading, math, and science. Using student questionnaires, the PISA also provides us information on how factors both within and outside of school are linked to student performance, including information on socioeconomic backgrounds, as well as attitudes and interests in reading, again, science and math. Perhaps most importantly, though, what this is helpful for us is it provides us with the ability to internationally benchmark our division's performance. In reading literacy on this slide, our students outperform all but 6 of the 34 countries that participated in PISA, including the average for the United States. The Global Learning Network average you see there is the average score of all of the 146 school divisions that participated, with each school weighted equally. No matter the number, they're rated equally. The OEDC average you see on the chart is actually the average for the 34 countries that participated in the test. And as you can see, we outperform both the OECD as well as the Global Learning Network and most of the countries that took the reading literacy portion. Again, weighting equally. Again, in the area of math, our students significantly outperform the US, the Global Learning Network average, and the OECD average, while coming in 10th as we compare them to out of the 34 countries, and dramatically, again, outperforming the United States score average, which you can see is way at the bottom of the list. Another point of pride for us is our performance on the science PISA. Our students again are showing in the top 10 results, significantly again outperforming the US, the Global Learning Network average, and the OECD average, and dramatically outperforming the United States' average score. So these metrics show the results of the exciting work that we are doing to prepare our graduates for college and career. And while there is remaining work for us to do, we are proud of our students standing among the US, and as you can see here, certainly in the Commonwealth, but on the PISA, the world, internationally, how we're doing. The ethical and global citizen attribute of the portrait of a graduate highlights our final outcome, which is students will be fluent in 2 or more languages. A student's ability, research has told us time and time again, to communicate in 2 or more languages is an essential 21st century skill in our global economy that is changing. We have ongoing efforts to expand our world language opportunities for students at all levels. We're currently transitioning from our Foreign Language and Elementary School program, or FLES, to a language through content program in which the units of study will include an articulation of the target language while infusing our STEAM skills. So we're working on that as a beginning process. Lessons are being designed and taught with an interdisciplinary focus, again, to the previous presentation, with project-based learning as a framework. Units right now have been translated into Arabic, Chinese, French, German, Italian, Japanese, and Spanish, and are being piloted across the school division. So that's one thing we're doing. A second very powerful thing we're doing is our immersion program expansion. Immersion, as you know, is our way to help students acquire a second language, while also if they are an English-speaking student, but if they are a student with limited English proficiency, it also helps them develop their native language as well. Research has shown that this model is not only promotes second language acquisition, but it also has significant benefits for English language learners. They acquire the English language at a more rapid pace and also with much more depth, and also helps them to connect to their content learning across math, science, social studies. As we look at secondary world language expansion, we've also added American Sign Language and computer coding to our courses that we're working on. American Sign Language is currently included as an optional course in our course catalog, and we're finalizing the work on computer coding to add that. Much work is being done to provide opportunities for our students in world languages, and again, it's an area for us to continue to expand upon. The metric for our performance in world languages includes student participation rates and achievement levels for fine arts and CTE. This is the actual metric that was in the strategic plan. I've already discussed the participation rates and achievement levels for CTE previously, and I will return a little bit before I conclude on world languages. But for fine arts, you can see by this graph that over 65% of our grad students graduate with at least one credit in fine arts, either in visual arts, theater, dance, or music. For world languages, you can see that 91% of our students take a world language. We want to get that to 100. And of those students, 78% are completing 3 and 4 credits, which is not surprising given the rate of our students who are now earning an advanced studies diploma and the high number of students that have increased an interest in earning AP or IB credits. Measuring the achievement levels of students participating in world languages and fine arts is a work in progress. For now, this is what we have to show you in terms of the percent taking the course, but we will continue to look and dig deeper in terms of their performance levels so that we can give you a more meaningful way to talk about the achievement as they take world languages and fine arts. We're continuing to expand opportunities to ensure that all students will have exposure to world languages. One program is our International Study Travel Service Learning Program, which provides our students with knowledge and firsthand experiences to produce globally minded, career-focused citizens, which is our goal. These programs are aligned with our curriculum, and all itineraries through this process are vetted by our curriculum content specialists. To support the Immersion World Language Program, we are also really happy to begin to work on assessments that will fully measure the acquired language abilities of immersion students for both speaking and, importantly, writing. One of the challenges for sustaining or expanding immersion programs is ensuring that we have a sufficient pool of qualified teachers. So we've begun to work with HR to recruit teachers, and also an important thing, and I thank the board who included part of this in their legislative agenda, is to work with the Department of Ed, VDOE, to add an elementary immersion licensure pathway and look at other creative ways that we can support teachers who are fluent in another language but need another means of licensure and support through that as a pathway. Finally, we are looking toward adding Chinese to our Immersion World Language Program. We already offer a variety of languages in our immersion program. So we're going to continue to build pathways to language learning that will allow our students to communicate in 2 or more languages, because we recognize, as we know you do at the board, that this is an ever necessary language, a skill to ensure that our students can compete in the world in both work and in life. This concludes our presentation of the desired outcomes for metrics in Goal 1, student success. These outcomes, I hope you have seen, are associated with metrics, and I hope that we've been able to provide you a little clearer picture through telling you a story of our current achievements, the work that lies ahead, the challenges that we still have, and what we need to do to prepare every student to succeed not only in work, but in life. In the coming year, I will continue working with our team and working with Dr. Garza through her leadership, and she has really focused us on our strategic plan as the driving force for what we need to do. We will continue to ensure that each desired outcome is realized. We will continue to not only work within our school division, we will work with the county, outside agencies, community partners, so that we can accelerate this work. We know that we cannot do this alone, particularly when we think about quality early childhood programs being available to every student. Departments within our school division will continue to work together across departments to make sure that we're providing the experiences that lead to success in college and career. The necessary steps needed to ensure that each metric is clearly understood and fully reported, we've just begun. We welcome your feedback, as this was the first time presenting our strategic plan in this way, and if there are better ways to give you the information on how we're doing with regards to the individual metrics, how we're meeting the desired outcomes, we welcome that and we would like to hear that. With Ignite and with Portrait of a Graduate as the foundation of the year ahead, we are positioned to continue fulfilling the needs of all students and ensure their success. And I will have to say, we are very proud of how we outperform the Commonwealth, the nation, and as you saw on PISA, the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Duran. That is a very thorough report. Did you want to add anything, Dr. Garza? Or yeah.
I tried to make it short. I did. I'm sorry.
Well, that is a lot of information, and we thank you so much. So keeping in mind that Dr. Duran's been standing for almost an hour already, and that we will have time to talk more about this. If there are any board members who would like to ask some questions, now's the time, starting with Ms. Darinette Koufax.
I might keep my questions for the work session, but the first thing I wanted to say, Dr. Duran, is thank you for this thorough report, and I just have to say congratulations. I mean, you've been here a very short time, and I appreciate the way you say you like to tell a story, and I find that very easy to follow and understand, and you presented a great deal of information. So I just want to tell you that I'm happy about that. A couple comments. I'm happy to see that you're working more closely with the Office for Children. I'm also very hopeful that you will be able to join Ms. McLaughlin and myself on a regular basis at the SCIP meetings, because I think you will be the perfect addition to that team. Thank you so much for saying that you will be doing that. And I think the other note that I wanted to make, and like I said, I'll send my questions before the work session. I won't ask them tonight. But I think it's so significant on page 35 that we are one point below Finland in the reading. And, you know, I think we need to point out, you know, we all need to take a great deal of pride in that. That is an amazing accomplishment. The math scores, they weren't quite as high, but they were amazing. And considering that the FCPS student body is so much more a diverse body than the other educational systems that we're measuring ourselves against, these findings are something that we really, really need to be proud of. So I'm glad you were able to present those to us. Thank you so much, and I'll send my questions later in the essence of time tonight.
Thank you.
Ms. Huff?
Thank you for the report, and I also am glad you got to present before 10 p.m. I'm going to just mention a couple questions I have that I imagine that they would just be ready at the work session. The first is you'd mentioned comprehensive metrics for the kindergartners that you'll be presenting at some point this year. I'm just curious as to what metrics you're using for that. And then the second is probably more either you can send me material to read ahead, or if it's something that would benefit everybody, to know more about how people enter into FESEP versus being waitlisted. So that would be helpful to me. Thank you very much for the report.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Ms. McLaughlin?
I will follow the recommendations to not start throwing out lots of questions tonight. But I did just want to offer a few thoughts. First of all, when I look at the PISA data, one of the things that I think we all are wanting to be careful of is we're comparing apples to apples. So while it's great to look at Fairfax compared to other countries, and one of the things I've never understood is why China gets to be broken out by metropolitan areas. I think it's the only country I know of that I've seen the PISA report. But I think it would be helpful to know, when we're looking at where Fairfax County ranks compared to those other countries, is it similar in terms of socioeconomics, education levels? because, I know Finland is more homogeneous than maybe other countries, but I just think that, to be fair, if you took Fairfax County and compared it to other metropolitan, suburban areas within some of the countries that we were close to, whether it's, looking at Ireland was listed up there. But I just think putting us up there, we look great against that whole country. But the whole reason why the United States doesn't look like Fairfax County is because where we are in terms of highest per capita of college graduates is not the national norm. So I just think that is something to think about maybe when we go to the work session,
Sure.
is just having a little more context to that.
Absolutely.
Not making any suppositions at all, but I just think it's would be helpful.
Absolutely.
And then I did want to say that I'm hearing more and more about coding, and it's something that my CTE appointee has also been bringing up, that, where will we be finally recognizing coding as maybe another language, recognizes another language fulfillment. I mean, American Sign Language has recognized that for graduation requirements, but more and more of the workplace environment is saying we need coders. And so I know we're doing that,
Yes.
but what I'm wondering is, imagine if when students are so pressed for, as we know, fulfilling graduation requirements, and I think this is something that we put into our legislative package, is getting the General Assembly and/or the Virginia Board of Education to understand that different pathways to education. Imagine if students really want to pursue, we might find enrollment and demand for coding courses across all of our high schools would grow as students would figure out how do you fit that type of instruction. So I was really pleased to see you spotlighting that in your presentation tonight, because I think that's a very important area that we have to be thinking about. And then, the other thing, Dr. Garza, just that struck me, and that I hope maybe we can have more of a conversation about, was we were looking at our 4-year and 2-year college attendance rates. And, I think it's very helpful, again, to have that community-wide conversation as we've come out of the recession. I know when I first started examining Fairfax County's data from at least 8 years ago, I mean, we had a higher percentage of our students going on to 4-year colleges. And in fact, at one point I remembered it was closer to 70%. And the newest numbers for the last 2 years has this closer to about 62-63% countywide are going to 4-year colleges, with a very high number, 28%, going to 2-year schools. And when you think about the tremendous reputation that Northern Virginia Community College has, the fact that the cost of higher education has become more expensive, and again, families finding that with the recession, it's been harder necessarily to afford sending your child straight into a 4-year school. I just think those are some interesting numbers to be looking at, because it has always been a marker for universities in admissions review to look at what are your data numbers of what percent go on to 4-year colleges, kind of like a bragging point. And I think given that we know the changing demographics within Fairfax County schools altogether, that number kind of, it stands out, that we have to be, as the 10th largest school system in the U.S., we have an opportunity here to really speak nationally to the cost of higher education, and are we seeing those numbers in our school system because people are starting to say it's just becoming too expensive to do it. But then also, we need to be mindful of, my parents were first generation college, and so the only way that they could go was by a 2-year school and then transferring into a 4-year university. And can we help make sure that our students who might be first generation college realize, and I know we have some programs like this, my predecessor Tessie Wilson has helped with this. It's helping families understand four-year colleges have so much financial aid to offer. It's just sometimes first-generation families don't realize it. So I think we just got to be really mindful of those numbers, and I want to make sure we are really helping our students recognize what opportunities are available to them, and not necessarily thinking that there's only a certain pathway for certain students, depending on their family background, education levels, and socioeconomics. So those were just sort of my big takeaways, looking at things this evening. And as my other colleagues have said, extremely compelling report. I really look forward to our work session because I know there's a lot to digest.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Strauss. To be followed by Mr. Moon.
Excellent presentation, wonderful report. Thank you very,
Thank
very
you.
much. Two quick questions to be answered at the work session. Follow-up, there is a new study by the Harvard Graduate School of Education regarding college admissions expectations for high school seniors. And, you know, what we think the impact will be. Part of it was interesting is the pullback, or at least the discussion of how many AP courses, but emphasizing deeper learning, community participation, et cetera. But when we look at our own metric, I just don't know if there's anything in there that we need to look at or consider. The other is there's also a new study on home visiting, and again, on the preschool side, on home nurse visiting programs. We have a number of them in Fairfax County. I think we're all represented on the school readiness team through the Office for Children. But there is a new study, particularly on language learning, that talks about the curriculum. We do have a subset of that, and I guess my question is, as we look to, on the school readiness team, to pull more of this together, will there be some common language acquisition training, et cetera? I know Fairfax Futures does some of that, but that's, you know, what common things will we all help everybody to agree on that prepares children for language learning? So that's it. Thank you again. Excellent presentation.
Thank you.
Mr. Moon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thanks for the presentation. I'm going to send you more questions for the work session, prior to the work session. So let me just give you a couple of them at this point. On slide number 12 is overarching strategy number 3. Do you have that?
I'll get to it. Sorry.
Okay. In the graph, we see 16% being identified for intervention. If our overall goal is to provide early childhood experience aligned with our approachable graduate outcomes, do you think using the DRA2, I mean, you might have just given this as an example, but
I did, yeah.
whether DRA2 is a right tool to identify the students who need intervention, whether our DRA2 is a right assessment tool aligned to see whether we will be able to produce, students meeting the portrait graduate outcomes. Because portrait graduate did not come until this year, basically.
Right. No, as I mentioned, we're actually currently working on a readiness rubric that will look at a more whole child approach to your question. And right now, we only had this as one glimpse. I wanted to have something to share with you tonight in the report. But when you look at what the metric speaks to in terms of kindergartners who demonstrate benchmark readiness skills as measured by FCPS readiness rubric, we don't currently have that readiness rubric in place. So absent that, I didn't want to say, oh, we don't have a rubric, I have nothing to share. We pulled one piece, and it's only one piece. I do think it's a part, but I don't think it tells us the whole story.
Okay,
but it's something to look at for
That
certain.
is very fair. The next question is, on slide number 14, we have a bar graphs. We see a drop off from grade 3 math to grade 4 math. You think you can give us brief explanation why we see drop off overall?
So one thing, of course, we look at is the different types of standards and what's expected at those different grades. So when you're looking at math in particular, it's not exactly going to be a line grade to grade per se. So that could be one thing, but we can dig a little deeper for you and provide more analysis. But immediately as you look at grade from 3 to 4, now if you're looking within the grade, like the 3 bars, then that's something you can look at. But as you look across grades, it's a little bit more difficult to necessarily compare perfectly that way.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Corbett Sanders?
Wow. Bravo. Thank you very much for a very comprehensive briefing tonight and the work that you're doing. I do have a number of questions that I will be sending to you, but I did want to just congratulate you on the innovation that has been, the innovative approach that's been taken to education, and to encourage you to continue along the path of focusing success of all of our students on meeting them where they're at. And so I was very optimistic when I heard about your focus on the access to early childhood education, but access not being a standalone metric, it was access and quality. And that's something that when we look at all of our, reaching all of our goals in the strategic plan, it should be both of those metrics of access and quality. I also want to encourage you to continue to look more deeply at how we can provide some wraparound services as part of the access to those kids that have the greatest needs, and exploring the innovation of using two-way immersion, of once again reaching children where they're at, because the two-way immersion programs have proven to be quite successful for both those students learning a new language as well as our English language learners. And I applaud the efforts on seeking more multiple pathways to success, and look forward to hearing more about how we can promote the individual development plans for our students. Because I think what we're learning as looking at this data that you presented tonight is the importance of addressing a perception versus reality, because the reality here is that Fairfax County is a world-class education system that has a lot to be proud of, and I'm glad that you started with that, and then we can always go for further successes. So thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Evans?
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Duran. I want to also congratulate you on this very first report in this area under our new strategic plan, and very well done and very thorough. So congratulations. It's very exciting to see all the student achievement in one place. You know, K through 12 and beyond, actually before K and beyond. I love the fact in here that we are also continuing to add, that we are continuing moving forward with new offerings, with the coding. I'm delighted to hear that we're doing more in that area, and with the Chinese immersion, that's very exciting as well, and more emphasis on work experience. I would just, I am going to want to hear more, a bit more about the Genesis Works. I would love to get a little bit more details about that. That sounds like a very exciting program with a lot of work experience in that. So would like to hear more. It's great to see the improvement in the preschool area and kindergarten readiness. I'm going to throw in one caution here. Just I keep reading more and more and thinking more and more about kindergarten becoming first grade. And so I know it's like we want both, right? We want the performance, we want this high performance without pushing our kids to be performing at the first grade level when they're in kindergarten, at the third grade level when they're in second grade. So I will be very interested to see as you progress with the rubric about what that looks like. I do think that's something that we have to just be cognizant of as we go forward and look at test scores. You know, when we look at test scores, that tells us one thing. It doesn't tell us about how we balance the whole child. So,
absolutely.
And the other question that I am going to have, I don't expect you to answer it tonight, but with college attendance, these are certainly impressive and high figures. Is there any way to track, or do we track, how many of those students graduate, how many they complete and graduate? Can we track that? Do we track that?
We're working on ways to get that information because we don't have it completely from all of our partners. And also, I want to make sure I clarify, those numbers there are the senior survey saying what they were going to do.
Going to do, right.
And so we are working a statewide effort to try and get actual information of what they do, where they go. We don't have a comprehensive. We have anecdotal, we have certain colleges that provide us, but that wouldn't give us the whole picture.
All right.
So the only thing we had the whole picture to share with you is where students said they were going to do at the end of their senior year.
Okay.
That is something we collect, and I said we have 12,900 responses on that. So that was at least a picture.
But that's a lot of surveys. That's a lot of great data. So again, congratulations and thank you.
Mr. McElveen?
Thank you, Chairman Hines. Just very briefly, wonderful report. To answer Ms. McLaughlin's perennial question, it is concerning that PISA does have these other metropolitan areas in it. It's the Shanghai example is the equivalent of taking our school system and removing all of the immigrant and ELL students and then considering that as their result. So that's something that all of us recognize, and we'll continue to say it every time that this comes up. But others have covered some of the ground in here, but I do want to focus on foreign languages because, as you know, that's one of my passions, as it is for others of us up here. Recently, there was a very well-received article called "The Decline of International Studies in Foreign Affairs" magazine, and it presented an interesting statistic that we don't often think of, which is the top 3 languages studied in the U.S. are Spanish, French, and American Sign Language. And if that's, all of them are valuable, but clearly that's not where our world is right now. And I think Fairfax is a good example of this, where we have really been treading water in our foreign language instruction, especially for the past couple of years, and I know some of my colleagues agree with me on that. One example, one of my former colleagues, Ms. Smith, asked last year how we were expanding our FLES language through content programs, because we had been given a map that showed how we would be progressing over the coming years. And how many did we add last year? 0. And that's very concerning to me. I know that's concerning to my colleagues as well. I'm glad to hear about Chinese immersion. Again, I think we're about a decade behind, and that's fairly embarrassing, but I'm glad we're moving there finally. And I guess the message I want to send is that I think many of us are concerned up here that we have been treading water in our foreign language instruction and our leadership in that area. And I do hope that we make progress there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Palchik?
I will also be brief. Excellent report. Many questions coming up soon. As you know, I am very passionate about world languages, and so I know there are always challenges about finding instruction. I do want people to know that the world readiness standards for language instruction are actually very much aligned with Portrait of a Graduate. So I know some people are concerned about why are we doing something extra. But I do hope public understands that it is another and very effective avenue when you take language instruction outside of the language classroom and integrate it into the curriculum. So I'm very excited to work with you on that and to see ways we can expand that in our county. A quick thing I would love to see if we can for the work session is the breakdown. I don't know exactly from the senior survey what we can get, but if that 40% of seniors, if we can get more information on what that means by school, by type of experience, ethnicity, any breakdown we can get on that 47%, because I think it's really important to start to target and find ways to expand and have inclusivity and access for those opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I'm last, and then you can finally sit down. Like everyone else said, this is such a great report. I saw very few SOL score-based things in here, which makes me so happy. Thank you. And I know it's work to find other ways to measure, but it's something that this board has been wanting for a while. The focus on pre-K, that a huge chunk of your report is about pre-K, is so good. I feel like it gets lost because it's very hard to find the funding for it right now. But as you pointed out, there's a lot of it going on, and we have to, we have to explain to everybody what is already going on and what more we need to do. And then finally, I also really appreciate the way almost throughout the report you're taking a look at our gaps and disaggregating down so that we can see where we are. There is a lot of good news in here, but we also know that we can't rest because we still do have those gaps. And so my only question going forward, and I think it's a very tricky one, is that is a great goal of ours in the strategic plan, that we will close achievement gaps. Wonderful. But in order to get there, we need to intentionally be measuring, which is what you're doing, and focusing on it. But I wonder if we also have to have sort of interim objectives, or we need to be measuring against some objective rather than, and I know that's really tricky, and I see, and in here I think you tried to at least do a comparison nationally.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's one thing we can do, is just compare ourselves nationally and then see how we improve over time in that comparison. But just for future thinking and other ways that we can do more than just measure, but be actually measuring against something is a thought. So, thank you. Okay.
And thank you again for all the positive comments and for your questions and concerns, and we will certainly work towards having those at the work session. So it would be very helpful, but not required, that you email me any questions you have ahead of time. Again, not required. We'll certainly answer any questions on the spot. But I'd like to, if possible, be able to, not just because if you remember at the last work session, I don't like to just answer a question, but try and put all the questions that are asked. And last time I received from about 5 board members the questions, and I was able to put them into categories and tell it in a different way rather than just give you an answer, which we certainly can, but it's more meaningful, I think, and powerful information and helpful if we can categorize it into ways. So if you're able to send us the questions ahead of time, that would be greatly appreciated, but certainly we're available on the 8th to answer any questions you have. And really, again, I'll just conclude by saying a similar line to what you said, Ms. Hines, is that are these metrics telling you what you need? Are they the right questions? This was the first time we're doing this report. The strategic plan was just written. If not, are there things that we need to tweak? Is there something we need to take out? Is there something we need to do more of, less of? And not just what I presented tonight, but also the last time, because we want to make sure that we're using these as benchmarks to get to the ultimate goal of closing the achievement gap, and we want to make sure we're on track. So that would be really appreciative. And if Dr. Garza, if there's anything else that you want to say in closing, otherwise, thank you again.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, moving on. Item 3.01, confirmation of action taken in closed meeting. This is the portion of the meeting where the board will confirm any action regarding issues that were discussed in the closed meeting. These issues may include action taken regarding student disciplinary matters. Board members have discussed each individual case, and at this time will make 2 motions to confirm the recommended action. I call on Ms. Derenak no, I'm sorry. I apologize. I call on Ms. Strauss for a motion.
Thank you, Ms. Hines. I move to deny the school reassignment appeal of a student who was charged with serious criminal offenses related to alleged community-based incidents and to confirm the disciplinary decision of the division superintendent.
I have a second.
I second.
Thank you. Seconded by Ms. Corbett Sanders. All those in favor, raise your hand. That is unanimous. Thank you. I call on Ms. Derenak Kofax for a motion.
I move to deny the school reassignment appeal of a student who was charged with a serious criminal offense related to an alleged community-based incident and to confirm the disciplinary decision of the division superintendent.
I second the motion.
Seconded by Ms. Strauss. All those in favor, raise your hand. Derenak Kofax, McIlvaine, Huff, Strauss, Corbett Sanders, Evans, Hines, Moon, Palchik. All those opposed and abstaining? Ms. McLaughlin, the motion passes. Okay. Item 3.02, the fiscal year 2017-2021 capital improvement program. I call on Ms. Derenak Kofax for the motion.
I move that the school board approve the FY 2017 to 2021 capital improvement program presented as new business on December 17th and discussed at the January 11 work session.
Second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Huff. Thank you. Ms. Derenak Kofax, do you want to speak to your motion?
Just briefly, I do want to thank Mr. Jeff Plattenberg, Mr. Kevin Sneed, and Ms. Amy Holub, and the rest of the facilities staff for your hard work on getting the CIP together. I thank you for what I believe was an improved process where he had more time to engage with 2 work sessions and a public hearing. I also want to thank Ms. Karen Hogan, the FPAC chair, and our entire Facilities Planning and Advisory Council for your work on our CIP, as well as members of the public who took the time to come and share their thoughts with us on this.
Thank you.
That's it.
Ms. Huff, did you have anything you wanted to say? No? Okay, that's fine. Ms. Evans?
Yes, thank you. I do want to thank Dr. Garza and Mr. Plattenberg and Mrs. Quinn and everyone else who has done a tremendous amount of work on this CIP this year. I do see we have some additional information, which is always welcome. I do approach this with a deep sense of frustration. In one sense, I approach it with a deep sense of frustration overall because of our deep and increasing needs that we cannot meet all of our needs with the resources that we have. And we know that there are limits. We would like to have those limits lifted in some ways, and we don't have a lot of control over that. I know we would like to be doing more if we could. Having said that, of course, more specifically, I continue to be very concerned about Falls Church High School. And we've talked about this at the work session. We've had a number of conversations about our last Legacy High School. For anyone who's not familiar with this, we have 5 Legacy High Schools. Falls Church is the last. The other 4 are all in progress for their renovation. Falls Church is still not. However, we are seeing it getting closer. So because this report has a lot of data and some complexity in it, I did just want to get clarity, particularly for the community, about where we stand. And again, some assurances for the community that Falls Church will be on the 2017 bond. So I guess I'm going to start with that. Dr. Garza or Mr. Plattenberg or Ms. Quinn, if you wanted to talk a little bit about that and give some clarity to some of the numbers in here.
Sure. I know we've had a number of conversations about this, and so I've just assumed either Susan Quinn or Jeff Plattenberg answer that question, but yes, it is in the 2017 bond for planning purposes, but I'd like for y'all to extend upon that if you'd like.
Yeah, you know, actually, you bring up a very good point. I mean, it's something, Ms. Evans, you've been raising certainly through all the work sessions we've had. Keep in mind, we've had 4 different iterations of discussions about that. You know, we do have $274 million worth of need, and we get $155 million a year. We did have the Infrastructure Facilities Committee, Finance Committee work together to identify both the Joint School Board and Board of Supervisors the additional $13.1 million in operational funds that allowed us to move major maintenance items out of the bond-funded program. By doing so, that increased the capacity, if you will, of bond-funded renovations, new schools, et cetera, of $13.1 million. By doing so, we were fortunate enough, and in conjunction with everything else, we do have, out of all of our high schools, we've got West Springfield, we have Oakton, we have Herndon, and then Falls Church. So we have Falls Church definitely identified for funding for the planning in the 2017 bond referendum in the CIP. Again, I know you've been very articulate and very passionate about that project, and we're in concurrence with that, and it really is, we've talked about ad nauseum, it really is a matter of need greater than the ability to meet that need with the funding resources we have. It's an understanding environment. We're not giving up. We're going to continue pushing for that, but we do want to go ahead and acknowledge what you've been pushing for.
Thank you very much. I appreciate both that reassurance and the recognition of the needs of this last legacy high school. So we will continue to work on that. We can continue to work also on trying to get greater funding to move everyone up. But in the meantime, we do appreciate the improvements that have been made there, and I think over time perhaps we can take some other opportunities to continue to do that. To what extent we can retrofit a little bit at a time while it waits for the full renovation, I don't know, but that's a discussion I would like to continue to have.
Okay, Mr. Moon. No, Mr. McElvain, then Mr. Moon, sorry. Ms. McLaughlin, then Mr. Moon. I apologize.
Hi, that was Mr. McElvain. So I just wanted to, for my colleagues and Dr. Garza, say that I do share Ms. Evans' concerns. Having joined the board 4 years ago, I know that Falls Church has really done a yeoman's effort of trying to help our school system understand that being the last of the earliest high schools built in this county, that they are in great need for being renovations. And Mr. Plattenberg, I very much appreciate your careful attention and your desire to support this board and the community in trying to find those solutions. I just want to say to everybody, as I listened to Ms. Evans, it occurred to me that during the IFC, the Infrastructure Finance Committee, or facilities, or whatever we call it, with the Board of Supervisors, the key point of all of that is that in looking at the data, what the percentage of square footage that Fairfax County Schools has compared to Fairfax County government is noticeably higher. And you know, Mr. Plattenberg, you can signal to me if you happen to remember what that ratio was, but I won't put you on the spot. But my point to my colleagues is this. I think it's really time that, you know, we have talked with our supervisors and said, you know, when we looked at this, we're trying to understand the funding ratio here. If we are this much higher than you, then a 50-50 cut in, you know, bond funding and financing really doesn't make sense when we have over 50% of the square footage. So maybe it's time to harness the power of our community voices, especially those schools that have been waiting and are neglected in the renovations they deserve, to really help harness their voices and lead that as elected officials in saying, does this ratio look fair? I mean, whether it's a bar chart or a pie chart that says this is what percentage of square footage we have and this is how much money we're getting and this is how much they're getting, because I think there's an inequity problem here. And I know we discovered it during the IFC, or that we tried to quantify it through the IFC discussions, but the conversation doesn't need to stop between our two boards. If we're at a disagreement on it, that's fine. Let's bring it to the Fairfax County citizenry, and I'm hedging my bets that they're going to come down on the side of what the data shows, which is that we have very good reason for asking for a review of how it's apportioned, because we can bemoan that there isn't enough funding, but we also can point to the fact that right now what funding exists, it's still not being given to us in an adequate manner. So I also just want to say one last thing, that I do appreciate also in our conversations as a board that we are looking at the fact that we've got SAC rooms that might help us with some overcrowding and classroom seat space, things like that that we need, and that I also appreciate that through FPAC and through Dr. Garza and Mr. Plattenberg that we're trying to identify where our enrollment needs are and where can we maybe maximize you know, enrollments so that it's not always about building additions, but making sure that if we have space in some schools, then, you know, let's look at how we can work with our communities to utilize seats that are available. But other than that, I will be supporting tonight's CIP.
Mr. Moon?
I don't want to just sound bashing our funding authority, but I still need to add some somewhat frustrations, brought out by both Ms. Evans and Ms. McLaughlin, and fairness or lack thereof of capital funding for school system. But I will support CIP tonight with an understanding that we have an opportunity to discuss, to address hundreds of temporary learning facilities we are using. I don't know how many temporary facilities the county side is using for its operation, but I would like to have really in-depth discussion about this and hopefully be able to lay out some sort of options for the community and Board of Supervisors to consider.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Moon. I think we probably do have advocates in the community who would love to help us do that. So I think it probably behooves us to come up with some of those points that we can share with the community because we certainly don't enjoy having almost 100 classrooms in trailers and being 10 years behind in where we want to be in our renovation cycle, and that is about funding. So, all right, seeing no other Dr. Garza.
Just one last comment. I know it's been said in our previous meetings, but I just again want to compliment our team, and their names have all been mentioned. And of course, Jeff probably got about 2 hours sleep last night. But I will tell you that I really appreciate the fact that we've heard from the community. I hope we've demonstrated that we're listening. Also to our board, I know that our team has worked very hard to make sure that this document is comprehensive and represents all the information that you all need and we all need on an ongoing basis. So I'm very proud of the earlier report that was presented, but also this body of work as well on the CIP, and we'll just continue to make it a work in progress. But I'm very proud of the progress that's been made. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right, seeing no further comments, the motion on the table is that the school board approve the FY 2017-2021 capital improvement program presented as new business on December 17 and discussed at the January 11 work session. All those in favor, please raise your hand. That is unanimous. Thank you. Item 4, consent agenda. Our adopted rules of parliamentary procedure, Robert's rules, provide for a consent agenda listing several items for approval of the board by a single motion. Many items listed have gone through board review, and documentation has been provided to all board members and the public in advance. Items may be removed from the consent agenda at the request of any board member prior to the meeting. Those consent agenda items are 4.01, additional appointments. Appoint individuals to serve on committees as detailed in the agenda item. 4.02, award the contract for the automatic temperature control system replacement at Irving Middle School to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, Engineered Services, Inc., in the amount of $697,008, and authorize the division superintendent or the assistant superintendent of facilities and transportation services to execute and administer the contract on behalf of the school board. 4.03, award the contract for the running track replacement at Hayfield Secondary School to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, Bainon Sports Surfaces, Inc., in the amount of $382,000, and authorize the division superintendent or the assistant superintendent of facilities and transportation services to execute and administer the contract on behalf of the school board. 4.04, award the contract for the running track replacement at Herndon High School to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, Bainon Sports Surfaces, Inc., in the amount of $391,100, and authorize the division superintendent or the assistant superintendent of facilities and transportation services to execute and administer the contract on behalf of the school board. 4.05, confirm the separations for the period beginning December 1, 2015 and ending December 31, 2015 as detailed in the agenda item. 4.06, confirm the appointments and separations for the period beginning October 1, 2015 and ending December 31, 2015 as detailed in the agenda item. Is there any objection to approving the consent agenda? Hearing and seeing no objection, the consent agenda is approved. Item 5, new business. The following are new business agenda items. There will not be a vote tonight on these items, but action is scheduled at a future meeting. 5.01, sale of house. Authorize the division superintendent or her designee to sign all documents associated with the sale of the house on Lot 7, 7002 Springville Court, Springfield, Virginia 22150 of Spring Village Estates. 5.02, grant of perpetual street easements to Fairfax County for public street installation of ADA ramps at Chesterbrook Elementary School. Authorize the Assistant Superintendent of Facilities and Transportation Services in consultation with staff and legal counsel to take all actions necessary and appropriate to negotiate, finalize, execute, and deliver a deed of easement to the county on such terms as they deem advisable, and to accept the installed improvements as full compensation for the grant of the easements. 5.03, grant of easements to the Virginia Department of Transportation for public street and traffic signalization control devices at Lynbrook Elementary School. Authorize the Assistant Superintendent of Facilities and Transportation Services in consultation with staff and legal counsel to take all actions necessary and appropriate to negotiate, finalize, execute, and deliver a deed of easement to VDOT on such terms as they deem advisable, and to accept the installed improvements as full compensation for the grant of the easements. 5.04, award of contract. Roof replacement project, Hayfield Secondary School. Award a contract for Hayfield Secondary School roof replacement project to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, and authorize the division superintendent or the assistant superintendent of facilities and transportation services to execute and administer the contract on behalf of the school board. 5.05, strategic plan goal 1, student success. Approve the strategic plan goal 1, student success report as detailed in the agenda item. 5.06, Virginia School Boards Association Charter School Constitutional Amendment. Item 6.01, Superintendent Matters. I call on Dr. Garza.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. I did want to point out in item 5.01, the sale of the new house. That's very well aligned with the report that we received earlier. Many people don't realize our students build that house from the ground up, and we're very grateful for our partners with FATE, the FATE Foundation. It's just an unbelievable program and certainly a source of pride for us. And then finally, I would just say I appreciate so much the patience and the cooperation of our community as we make decisions around school closures for weather. They are very complex and difficult decisions, and I will tell you that we do recognize that these decisions impact families, and it does cause some inconveniences, and we do take that to heart as we make these, no doubt. We have over 48,000 students who walk to school. We have over 1,300 routes covering over 405 square miles. And as Mr. Press, or no, someone else pointed out maybe earlier, I guess it was Steve Greenberg, one side of the county may look really good, and the other side could be really, really bad. And so we just have to make the decision that best supports the safety and well-being of our students and our staff. Over 25,000 of our employees travel long distances to get to work. So again, we just want to thank our family and our community for being patient and understanding, and we hope everyone is safe and warm over these coming days. And then as we communicated to parents today, we'll be monitoring the weather and getting back with them on Sunday about next week. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Garza. Okay, item 7.01, Board Committee Reports. I call on Mr. Moon for a report on governance.
Okay, governance work session was held as a part of all-day work session on January 11th. That the school board adopted timeline for discussion and decisions on potential redesign of school boards, standing committees, and advisory committees.
Okay, thank you. I call on Ms. Strauss for a report on the budget.
Yes, at the work session, we had an opportunity to go over again in detail the superintendent's proposed budget. School board members had an opportunity to ask additional questions and have been encouraged to submit their budget questions for formal response by staff, and that all of the questions and answers are public off the website for those who are interested. I also encourage the community, please come and talk to us during our budget hearings next week. We do want to hear from you. It's very, very important. We appreciate all those who have been coming to budget meetings in the community, who have been advocating through email, and that's fine. Keep it coming. The schools belong to you all. These are all of our children. We are spending the community's money, and we want to do what's the very best for every child in this community. So please come to the hearings, check to see when they actually will take place next week. For my colleagues, we are asking that any budget amendments be turned into the school board office and to Ms. Michael by noon next Friday. That gives the school board office enough time to make public any potential amendments so that it can be seen by the first of the week. And then next Thursday, we will be voting on the superintendent's proposed budget. Then it becomes the school board's proposed budget. That budget then goes to Mr. Long, the county executive, and to the Board of Supervisors. So again, please come talk to us during our public hearings, but check first to make sure that we know when they're going to be held next week. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to clarify, we vote on the superintendent's proposed budget on February 4th.
4th, yes. No, I'm sorry.
Thank you. That's right. No, just making sure. Thank you. I call on Ms. Evans to report on the forum meeting that the board held earlier tonight.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We had a forum tonight and discussed 3 topics. On the first one, brought by Mr. Press and Mrs. Corbett Sanders, we considered whether to move the student representative election from February to April. There was general consensus to do that, but because the elections this year have already been set and the applications in, we're not going to try to change this year, but Mrs. Corbett Sanders is going to bring this as new business at our next regular meeting, and then we will consider that for the next year. We also looked at whether to continue the Education Summit, which we have done in years past. We decided that we would put it on hiatus at this point, but keep it as a tool in our toolbox, as one of my colleagues said. And we also started the conversation about whether to expand the policy on naming facilities to include more types of individuals, but we didn't come to a conclusion on that.
Thank you. And finally, Ms. Derenak Kofax for a report on our work session.
On January 11th, Ms. Corbett Sanders and I managed the all-day work session, and we discussed Goal 1, Student Success, Strategies 1 and 2. We discussed the CIP, the budget, and the governance committee structure that Mr. Moon just reported on earlier.
Thank you very much. 8.01, Board Matters. I call on Ms. Palchik to start us off.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just want to thank all the schools who have invited me and welcomed me. Have been able to visit Graham Road Elementary School, Falls Church High School. Also participated in the community with the Waples Mill Stamp program. We had a great day volunteering for MLK Junior Day at the Jewish Community Center, taking back the forest at Nottoway Park, and visited our partners at Life with Cancer, doing great work to support our families. Coming up, I will be going to a few more schools, Oakton High School, Thoreau Middle School, and Mantua, my alma mater, as well as visiting the Children's Science Center, which I'm very excited about. Especially excited also to join Mr. McElveen as a cook-off for the PTA chili cook-off at Mosby Woods Elementary School. And in Providence District, the Providence District Council will be hosting a budget session where Supervisor Linda Smith and I will be there to provide time for the community to learn about the budget. That's February 3rd at Providence Community Center.
Okay, thank you. Ms. McLaughlin?
Just briefly, I wanted to update my colleagues that I had mentioned there was a community group that is wanting to do the laptop donation drive, and I received an email that after offering the suggestion that the supervisor's offices be donation drop-off sites, Braddock Supervisor John Cook has said that their site, their office could certainly be a reception site for that. So I will be reaching out to all of you to see if perhaps we can promote this among the other district offices with hopefully Mr. Cook promoting that with his colleagues on the board. But it mainly will be my providing you with a flyer with the information, and then if you can talk with your district supervisor about it, then yeah, if they also have decided that they can be a donation site. Again, this is to hopefully reach the goal of over 500 donated laptops, where this organization does have volunteers who will help refurbish and ensure that the laptops are stripped of any sensitive information. But ideally, this is, as we know, trying to bridge the digital divide for our neediest students in Fairfax County schools.
Thank you. Mr. Moon?
Pass, Madam Chair.
All right, Ms. Evans?
Yes, thank you. I've been getting some requests for reassurances for parents who have been very concerned and very fearful about immigration raids that have been taking place in parts of our country. I'm hearing from some community groups who say that they are hearing from parents and from counselors who are not, where parents are not sending their children to school because they're very afraid, they're fearful of what might happen. So I do want to reassure the community, I want to reassure parents that our school system cannot ask about immigration status. They can't ask parents about that. They can't ask children about that, and we will not be doing that. Federal agents are not allowed in our schools for immigration purposes, so please, parents, be assured that it is safe to send your children to school, and please continue to do so. We welcome everyone in our schools and hope everyone that these fears can be calmed. And I believe we're going to have some information going out to our employees in regard to that as well, which I very greatly welcome. I was very pleased to be going to PTAs at Glasgow, Annandale High School, and Stewart High School to talk about the budget. We had great conversation about that, and look forward to continuing to work with those and other school communities as we move forward with some difficult decisions soon and later in the spring. I was very pleased to have lunch with student leaders at Hayfield Secondary School. Mr. Press, thank you for joining me for that, and Mrs. Huff, thank you for joining me and the students from Stewart High School, Annandale High School, Falls Church High School, and Edison High School. I very much enjoyed that conversation and the insights that the students gave to us. And lastly, I want to thank Parklong for inviting me to their pancake breakfast and showing me some of the great things that are going on at that school.
Ms. Corbett Sanders?
I'll try to make this brief. I wanted to first thank the Region 3 staff and Dr. Garza for visiting us last night, and who stuck it out despite the impending weather outside. I was very appreciative of the outreach to the community, and we are looking forward to the Region 4 listening tour coming up. For those of you in the community throughout the county, I would encourage you to take a look at the dates and come out for the listening tour and have your views heard about a full array of issues, not just budget. So I would encourage you to use that forum. I also want to thank the staff at West Potomac High School, the DSS, Aaron Helmick in particular, who stayed well beyond the call of duty last night and waited until every child was picked up after a gymnastics meet that was disrupted by the weather and people getting to the school to pick up their students from the far reaches of the county got in a bit late. And so I would like to recognize that excellent service to our community. Would also encourage our student leaders to participate in the Mount Vernon Student Leadership Town Hall. It's currently scheduled for the 28th, but I just received an email suggesting that we might want to move that, so we will be looking for a new date. Would also thank the PTAs at Holland Meadow Elementary School, Stratford Landing, and others for welcoming into their communities, into their community meetings, as well as the Mount Vernon Council of Civic Associations, Education Committee, and the South County Federation, where we were able to talk about the budget. Thank you.
Ms. Strauss?
I want to thank the McLean High School PTSA for their invitation. We discussed the budget and also our continuing community conversation about encouraging the gun store to move a little further away from Franklin Sherman Elementary School. Also at McLean High School, the famous physics teacher, Dean Howarth, as it turns out, with the help of some other volunteers, has renovated and reopened the planetarium at McLean High School. It was built in the 1950s. And they have multiple telescopes now, and they have been renovating the very large telescope that is there. They were doing a demonstration. It is very exciting. And I just want to personally thank Mr. Howarth. I mean, this is, he does this out of the kindness of his heart because he loves teaching. He loves his students and just cannot think of not doing more creative and wonderful things and spending very long days at school and with his students. So thank you, Mr. Howarth. You're wonderful. And it was interesting when we were at the hearing with the Northern Virginia delegation, Marcus Simon also remembered that, yes, Mr. Howarth was his teacher as well. So thank you, Mr. Howarth. Thank you.
Ms. Huff?
Well, I want to thank staff for continuing to help me get situated, and especially my EAA, who has gotten me up and running. So thank you, Kathy. I had an opportunity to go to my first public engagement committee where I'm going to be a member. So if any constituents have any ideas for public engagement, I'm all ears. Definitely contact me. I want to thank Mr. Press for inviting me to the SAC meeting. It was really enjoyable to watch the students really engage in what's going on in their world and their schools, which is so important. And also Ms. Evans for including me in your lunch. I really enjoyed talking to those students and hearing what they had to say. I also look forward to visiting more schools and want to continue hearing from the constituents. So please continue to contact me on email, phone, and I'm happy to have any conversations or to visit. Finally, I know students are probably wearing pajamas inside out all weekend, but as I was planning to say that, Mr. Press went ahead and was talking about videos and hashtags close FCPS. I'm assuming that things are a lot more, I don't know, I guess mature or innovative than when I was in school. So as you wear your pajamas inside out, I will be wearing mine the right way. And anyway, I hope that everyone stays safe.
Mr. McElwain?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I enjoyed joining my colleague, Mrs. Strauss, at the rally in front of Franklin Sherman and the gun store that's situated there as we continue to advocate for solutions to that issue. I also was pleased to join my colleagues in risking our lives last night to attend the listening tour. I know that some of us had particularly interesting commutes home. Mr. Moon, Miss Evans, and I know Miss Corbett Sanders had a long one as well. Only several hours it took, but I think I join everyone in the community in expressing regret for what happened yesterday and for the failure of our transportation authorities to prepare adequately. But I do believe this weekend will be different.
Mr. McAbey, you know that Miss Evans had to walk home for 45 minutes.
Yeah, you see what we do.
It was
for
good
the
exercise.
Ms. Derenak Kovacs?
Thank you, Madam Chair. As always, it is great to get out into the community and to share what we are doing and to hear from our families. To that end, I was the guest speaker at Springfield Estates PTA on January 12th to talk about Dr. Garza's proposed budget. And on January 19th, I met with the Edison High School PTSA again to talk budget, amongst other things. I also met with parents at Lee High School to talk about budget and other topics. And as Mr. Press mentioned, he had invited me to the Student Advisory Council at Hayfield Secondary. As my colleagues who were there, we're always so impressed at our student leaders and how they engage and the energy level that they have. It's wonderful to see them and talk to them and hear their perspectives. And last night, had I known, I would have had a sleepover at my house because I had a 5-minute commute home. And I'm so sorry to my colleagues. Yes, because I live very close to where the listening tour was. Dr. Garza, thank you for coming out. Thank you for keeping your listening tours up. I think it's a wonderful thing for the community. I think they appreciate it so much, and I know it takes a great deal of your time, but I'm so appreciative of you doing that. So yes, we started them off in Region 3 at Edison High School. Thanks to everyone who did come out before the storm to share your thoughts, concerns, and compliments, and we do appreciate that very much. So thank you, and let it snow.
All right. Just a few things. I want to thank the Reston community once again for putting on an amazing Martin Luther King Jr. Day weekend with great opportunities for families to volunteer and to celebrate. I was very happy to participate on Monday in the luncheon, and I don't think anybody does Martin Luther King Jr. Day weekend as well as Reston does, so congratulations. I want to thank the Fairfax County Council of PTAs for inviting me to their meeting on Tuesday night, and Dr. Garza was there as well. We had a chance to get some great questions from PTA members and talk a little bit about the budget. And today, this morning, I was at a Leadership Fairfax program with Dr. Duran, actually. So he started his day standing at a lectern talking, and he ended it that way. He did a wonderful job representing the school system, and that was a lot of fun. It's a great group. And I just want to announce, speaking of listening tours, the one at Madison High School is coming up on February 9th in the evening, and I'm very much looking forward to that. And I just want to thank all of our advocates in Richmond, to the folks who showed up at the Northern Virginia delegation public hearing a couple weeks ago, and those who continue to drive back and forth to Richmond to advocate for us. A lot of volunteers. People are not being paid to do this, but they care that much about schools and they care that much about Fairfax County that they are down there helping us out. So we can't thank you enough for that. So stay warm, stay dry, shelter in place. This meeting is adjourned. I think, does anybody have a burning desire to debrief, or can we go home? Okay.